What's up, YouTube? If you're watching this video, it's because you soon are going to become a CFI. That is a great accomplishment. I still remember when I became one, which is not that long ago. I mean, it was like a couple months, and it really feels good getting that over with. And probably the best feeling is when you can actually go in the airplane and getting paid for the first time. That's probably, it's like a surreal feeling. Anyways, if you're watching this, is because you want to know how to structure your learning, because there's a lot to learn to become a CFI. So I just want to share how I did it. Again, this is how I did it. Maybe you have other techniques that work best for you, but let's dive right into it. Let's start by all the resources, books, and materials you're going to need to start studying. The first thing I recommend is the FAR AIM by ASA, okay? Not Jefferson or any other brand, just get the ASA. I recommend the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, again, ASA. Also make sure you buy yourself the Aviation Instructor's Handbook. You're actually going to use it a lot. I recommend you get a Jeppesen Private Pilot Syllabus. Get yourself a nice heavy-duty binder. Ooh, this is heavy. Lesson plans. Please just save the trees and don't print it out. I mean, this was a stupid mistake I did. I spent like, I even feel bad saying it, but I spent like $200 printing all this. Just don't do it. You'd rather just buy an iPad and put it in there. You're gonna need a notebook. I actually bought a nice notebook. This is where I take my CFI notes. You know, I kind of carry this with me all the time. It's just like a quick reference that you just want to have handy. And you know, a good time to do it is when you're actually studying, because you can put all that information in here. Then if you ever forget, you can always refer back to it. And I also recommend the CFI oral book. Go ahead and print and download that's actually backwards. First, you're gonna have to download, then print the Advisory Circular, or AC 6165 Foxtrot, which covers certification for pilots and instructors. And it also contains a couple endorsements, well, actually a bunch of endorsements that you're gonna use as a CFI. And I also recommend the AC 60-28 Bravo, which covers the English language standards. And finally, and if you don't know about this one, then I don't know what to tell you. You've been living under a rock. Is go ahead and make yourself a Google Drive account. You're actually going to use it a lot. So let's go right ahead and put all this together into a plan. Yeah, I'm new at this, so just bear with me. I'm learning. All right, so let's dive right into it. I first recommend that you tackle the FOI. This is the most boring, long, I really hated it, but we have to do it, so let's get it out of the way first, and then we can continue with the rest of the material that you need to learn. What I want you to do is go ahead and download the PTS. Maybe at the time that you watch this video, we have an ACS, but for now we have the PTS. So go ahead and download that. I will actually provide the link below. And I want you to go to the areas of operation, go to fundamentals of instruction. And as you can see, the task A is human behavior and effective communication. Now, we have a reference here, which is the FAA-Hotel-8083-9 Alpha, which is the instructor's handbook. Grab that book, okay? And now what you want to do is go to the element 1, which is definitions of human behavior. And what you want to do is find the definitions of human behavior in this reference. Now, you're going to highlight that and you're going to tab it. If you want to access it quickly, you can just go in the tab and open it up. Next, I recommend that you also write it down in your notebook that I mentioned earlier today. I actually have mine. Let me show you. Right here, definitions. Let me see, let's focus. Definitions of human behavior. Unfortunately, all this information, you have to know it by memory, because the FOI is an item that they're not going to let you use a reference. This is really boring material. So I'm going to give you a couple tips that actually help me to just memorize all this information. The foundation of our strongest memories have three things in common. That is story, place, and emotion. So if we use these three things and we relate what we want to remember with a structure that we already have in our brain, and we create a narrative around it, it is going to be easier to retrieve that information. I know that sounds a little maybe complicated, or maybe I'm not good at explaining, but I'm going to give you an example. If you go in the PTS and we go to Task A, which is Human Behavior and Effective Communication, and we go to Element 2, which is Human Needs and Motivations, then we go to our reference, which is the Instructor's Handbook, we'll find that the answer to that, the different items are psychological, security, belonging, esteem, cognitive, aesthetic, and self-actuation. Now, what I did with that is I created an acronym. So my acronym was PS Becas. Okay, that's how I say it, Becas. But I'm pretty sure in English is with a different accent, but pardon me. PS is the initials of a close friend that I had in Spain, and then Becas means scholarship. Now I can create a story around that. My friend got a scholarship in Spain. So now we actually taking care of those three things that we spoke about in the beginning, which is story, place, and emotion. Okay, so the story is that my friend got a scholarship. Place in Spain. And emotion, well, I'm very happy for him because now he can use that scholarship to go fly. I'm very, very happy for him. So that's a way you can do it. Always create a narrative around something that you're trying to remember. I hope that helped. Now, I know this is going to be tedious and it's going to take a lot of time, but you want to do this for every single element in every single task. And it's going to take some time. Don't get overwhelmed. Wow, I have to do so much. Just make it into small, achievable, smaller tasks. And just do maybe, you can do 2 or 3 elements a day, and just do that for maybe a week, 2 weeks, whatever it takes you. And that way, you're not going to feel too overwhelmed about it. After you're done with the FOIs, now finally you can proceed with the rest of the areas of operation. And fortunately, these are open book. Okay. Now, that being said, don't try to always pull your book out in your check ride and try to explain everything with your book. You still need to know some things by heart. But I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations on how to study for it. For example, you want to go through every single task and try to find the answers in this book. And then you can always tab it. And again, you have a reference. If you for whatever reason you get stuck in the check ride, you always have a backup. Obviously, don't show it. Okay, just keep it in your book bag or wherever you have your stuff. Just keep it there as a backup. Okay, in the beginning of the video, I said to go ahead and print the advisory circulars. What I did here is I made this binder which says resources, and I put all my advisory circulars in here, and as you can see, they're tabbed. Okay, so if I have to access something real quick, I can just read the tab and open it. And I have the AC 6165 Foxtrot, which is certification pilots and flight instructors and ground instructors. And then I also have the AC 6028 Bravo, which is the aviation English language standards. So if in your check ride they ask you anything about it, you can always pull this binder and give them the answer if you get stuck. Also, make sure you go through I'm gonna open it up here. For AIM has a section here which is the suggested study list, and you want to go to the flight instructor section and you want to go over each and every single one of these FARs, okay, and then tab it just like that. Now, you don't have to do this, and this is how I studied, and I always use this as a backup because I've done a lot of check rides and I don't like them, and I'm pretty sure you don't either, and you get nervous and sometimes you forget things. Well, here you go. This is your best friend, your backup. Now, the other ways of studying is you're not using FA approved material, so you can't really tab it or anything, so you can use it in your check ride. But obviously I recommend that you go over the CFI oral book, go through all those questions, because those books are amazing. All the oral book series is amazing, and I always use them. And finally, which this is probably, I'm telling you, this is the best thing ever, I recommend the Flight 8 Micah Alves CFI oral series that he's got in YouTube. I mean, This for me was a blessing. He goes into, he does like a mock CFI, a oral check, right? And it is absolutely amazing. He covers every single thing by the PTS. And I know you're gonna love it. So I'm gonna put the link below, and I'm telling you, it is the best of the best of the best. And you can even go ahead and take notes of the stuff that they're discussing in those videos and use it to study. Go and check him out. He is amazing. So we already covered the FOI, the FIA, and now we're gonna cover the lesson plans, okay? I personally recommend that you actually write the lesson plans, okay? I bought mine because I was tight on time. I wanted to get this done, and maybe you are too, and there's nothing wrong with buying them. I mean, to be honest, I never used mine, like ever. I just spent all that money printing these out and never used it, okay? But the reason why I recommend you write your own lesson plans is because that's gonna help you a lot to remember all this material, because you're actually thinking about it, you're doing the research, you're writing it down. If you're gonna go ahead and buy the lesson plans, I recommend the Backseat Pilot lesson plans. They're great. You know, you can go ahead and buy the private, commercial, and CFI if you're going for your initial. Obviously, if you're gonna buy them, just at least go through them. You know, don't just buy them and keep them there. And because, you know, your examiner may ask you, oh, can you show me your lesson plan? Can you explain how to do this? So you gotta be able to open it up and know how to navigate through it, okay? If you're gonna end up instructing in a Part 61 flight school, or if you're like planning on being an independent instructor, I recommend you get yourself at least a syllabus. You can either buy it or you can write it yourself, but at least have a syllabus. You don't wanna get your CFI and you get your first student and you're like, well, where do I start, right? So that's where you can use something like this, which is great. Obviously, go through it. Don't just buy it and leave it there. My last recommendations would be to open up a Google Drive account. You know, you can make like little folders for each and every single student that you have, and you can put all their files or all their information in there. As you know, right, I hope, anytime you sign someone off, you have to record that. Google Drive is a great way because you won't lose it. You know, it will always be there. It's in the cloud. My last tip would be go to IACRA, and they actually have a training site that you can mess around with. They will actually give you the logins of like an applicant, a flight instructor, a DPE, and you can play with it and really get a grasp of how IACRA works, because you're going to use that a lot when you start instructing. You don't want to mess up in the paperwork. Examiners don't like that. The more you know about IACRA, the better it is. So I recommend you go ahead and play around with it. All right, so this is the end of the video. I really hope it helped you and it gave you some guidance on how you're gonna tackle the task of studying for your CFI, which is crazy, right? At least now you have a couple ideas and a couple tips that you can use. And if you wanna see more content like this, please subscribe. And if you think that I provided some valuable information, I would really appreciate a like. I will see you in the next one.